Page 66. This is the first page of what they call the challenge section. If you're feeling adventurous and you've gotten to pretty well and you're doing okay, you might try this out. If you've been struggling, forget this. You can get it later. No big deal. If you're doing this without a teacher and you've only been through the book once, I encourage you to go back and do the book again and go through the lessons again. There's stuff you will have forgotten or missed, or what. It's really important that you get it all. So don't be in a hurry to get through this and go to the next book. However, let's talk about this scale. We're starting out in key of C major, because that's it's a handy key to start in because it only uses the white keys on the piano, and it's kind of a nice starting point. So we're using 5-finger positions, which is going to use the first 5 notes of the scale. And it is C major, C minor. We haven't talked about the minors, but really what you do is you just take the C, and the middle note goes down a half step, so it's here. And so your 5-finger scale, same thing. That's a 5-finger scale in C minor. The chords, they show you the major chord and the minor chord. And the 4 chord. Now, these chords, they're showing you these 4 and 5, that's for C major. The C minor chords are slightly different. But again, the C minor chord, that's what we're after. Just know that for now. We'll get the other chords when we get to those keys. Because C minor happens to have 3 flats, and we aren't adding 3 flats yet. Let's just hold off. Next one is G major. So you're up here, we've had G major. Well, the G minor is you just take the middle and go down 1. G minor. And then they give you the chords. G major, G minor, and then the primary chords for G major. Okay. And again, G minor, in case you're wondering, has 2 flats. So G major is 1 sharp, G minor has 2 flats. Does that make sense or what? Actually it does, but it's later. Let's take your time here. Top of page 67 is, we've had D major, because you have a black key in the middle. Have we had D major yet? I don't know. Well, D minor, you go down 1. Now it's D minor, and then the chords again, major, minor, and then the primary chords in G major, it's here. I'm not spending a lot of time explaining all this because I think you're better off learning it later, but the book presented it now, so just know that D major is 2 sharp, so when I go down to I'm only going down a half step for the 5-7 chord. It's the same pattern. At C major, when I go to the 5-7 chord, I'm only going down a half step. It's got to be the same pattern. So here, a half step. That's all. And then A major there toward the bottom of 67. A major, again, has a sharp in the middle. Because A major has 3 sharps. And then A minor then would be here. And then the primary chords for A major. Again, if you're following the pattern, to go to a 4 chord, the middle note goes up a half step, and the top note goes up a whole step. It's the same pattern on all the keys. So A, I'm going to go up a half step and a whole step. And also, A major has 3 sharps, so I have to use an F sharp. And then again, for the 5-7, I'm a half step down. On page 68, and then we go into F major. We've had F major. We'll go on to F minor, go down in the middle here. Because F minor has 4 flats. Isn't that going to be fun? You just can't wait to do it. I know you can. And then the primary chords in F major you've already had. You're here. Remember the pattern. You're going up a half step for the 4 chord and a whole step here. 5-7, you go down a half step and use this. Bottom of page 68, we get to E major. E major is here. So E minor, you come down here. Because E major has 4 sharps. You're going to love it. So the primary chords, well, we go up a half step and a whole step. And then for the 5-7, you go down a half step and then here. is a pattern. I mean, you figure out the chords of all of them once you understand the pattern. I don't even want to teach you the pattern right now because I think you got enough to learn. But they put it in here. It's not my fault. So let's go on. Top of page 69. It just gets better and better. You're here. Because the key of D flat major, that's a D flat. It's also a C sharp, but a D flat has 5 flats. We're using all the black keys. It's also a C sharp major, which has 7 sharps. Scared up, huh? Okay. So the D, and if you want a minor, D flat minor, you just lower the middle note. The primary chord, are you ready for this one? You go up a half step and a whole step, all black keys. And then for the 5/7, you go down a half step and you use the 4th. Oh, goody. A flat major, here. A flat major has 4 flats. And if you want the A flat minor chord, your middle note goes down. Primary chords, well, for the 4 chord, the middle note goes up a half step, and the top note goes up a whole step. And then 5/7, you go down a half step and use the 4th step. You'll just love all these flats. Now on page 70, we get E flat major here. E flat major has 3 flats. E minor then will take the middle note down 1. And then for the primary chords, well, middle note goes up a half step, and top note goes up a whole step. That's the 4 chord. And then for the 5/7, the bottom note goes down a half step, and use the 4th step of the scale. Because you got to know the scale to know what the 4th step is. But it's 3 flats. Then you get the F sharp major. Oh, isn't this goody? Here, all black keys. F sharp major has 6 sharps. It's also G flat major, which has 6 flats. Excuse me, 6 flats. Because it's a F sharp or a D flat. So here we're kind of at the middle point of going around the circle of fifths. We got 6 sharps and 6 flats. They're actually the same keys on the piano. So they're all sharped except the B. It's the only one that's not sharped. And if you want a minor, take the middle down 1. And then for the 4 chord, we go up a half step and a whole step. For the 5/7, go down a half step and use the 4th step of the scale. Remember the beat? Top of page 71, B flat major, up here. B flat major has 2 flats. And if you want B flat minor, you take the middle note down 1. Primary chords, well, for the 4 chord, you go up a half step in the middle, and the top goes a whole step. 5/7, you go down a half step for the bottom, and use the 4th step of the scale. You gotta know what the scale is first, but that's it. It's got 2 flats, a B flat and an E flat. Then B major, we're here, they're going up here, that's fine. B major has 5 sharps. Again, we're using all the black keys. You have a B and an E natural, and the rest are sharped. B minor, lower the middle note. You want the 4 chord, then middle note goes up a half step, top note goes up a whole step. 5/7, bottom note goes down a half step, and use the 4th step of the scale, here. What we did here is we more or less went around the circle of fifths. I haven't talked much about it, When you get into a more advanced music, that's the pattern I recommend practicing the scales once you know all the scales. The circle of fifths simply starts with C major and it adds a sharp or subtracts a flat until you've done all the scales. So you add a sharp all the way up to 7 sharps, and there's overlap in there, and then you're subtracting flats from that point, because 7 sharps is actually 5 flats. It's the same notes. So really then at that point you're subtracting flats. So 5 flats, 4 flats, 3 flats, back down until you get to C major again. It's just one of the ways of going around all of the scales. It's not the only way of doing it, it's just a handy way of doing it. And that is the order that I use in the scale videos, is circle of fifths. And you've done the book. Congratulations.